And I'm joined by Mr. Cormac Neeson. How you doing?
Doing very well. Good to talk to you again, Lee.
Yeah, good to speak to you again. Obviously, last time we spoke, we were talking about your solo album, White Feather. This time, obviously, talking about the brand new answer album that's coming out next year, Sundowners, which you've been very kind enough to send me the tracks ahead of its release, so I can have a listen to it before we talk today, mate. Mate, this is an incredible record. I can't. I've been waiting. I've been a fan of you. We said before, like last time, first time I saw you guys was, Bloomsbury Ballroom Theatre on the Be What You Want tour, and so I've been a fan a long time and been waiting for the answer to come back a long time. Obviously, when we spoke before, um, you mentioned that you guys were all in a very good place. Although there wasn't any immediate plans at that point, certainly one that you were making public anyway. But what made you guys come back now? What made it be the right time for the answer to come back?
Um, it's a very good question. I suppose it's important to point out that we kind of had started writing this record before all the craziness happened across the world. You know? So if it hadn't have been for COVID, I'd say there's every chance that the album probably would have been kind of bumped up by about a year and a half to 2 years. Um, like a lot of best laid plans at that point in time.
Yeah.
It had to be put in the back burner, But so like whenever you ask me what got us up and running again, my mind goes back to that kind of that far back, kind of 2.5 years ago. And it was really it was kind of a combination of us kind of picking up a bit more regular contact and also just a bit of interest, kind of label interest more than anything in answer bringing out another record. The label that this album's gone out on, Golden Robots, approached our management and just asked the question, are the boys intending on doing anything? And I think, like I say, by that stage we kind of hadn't really started creatively getting anything going, but we definitely had picked up much more regular contact. So our management were like, well, actually, they are back in touch, and you never know. Kind of talk to me, and just from that point onwards, it really I suppose piqued our interest, and we did have a bit of a soul searching meeting, the four of us, to really decipher whether it was the right time and whether we were all um in that place,
Yeah.
because like it really the main reason that I suppose the answer, as we've kind of achieved any kind of longevity, if you like, with the six albums, soon to be seventh, is that it has very much been a team effort. Everybody kind of has to pull their weight. Everybody has to contribute and carry the project. So it was important, though it wouldn't have worked if two of us wanted to do it and two of us kind of were just going to see what happened, kind of thing. So we did need to make a commitment as a band again. And once we did that, yeah, we just started. We arranged a few rehearsals, which kind of is trickier now because Paul lives in Paris and Mickey lives in the south of England, and
Okay.
James are still back in Northern Ireland. So it's not like back in the day whenever you could just like decide on a half hour's notice that we were gonna have a jam in the loft. But we obviously we got it together and got in and started writing music, and it really, it felt good. It felt a bit weird now, the first writing session. Um it was kind of like we were all our first rehearsal, meeting each other for the first time a little bit. We didn't know how everybody else was feeling or if it was going to work, but we just pushed through that little bit of awkwardness at the beginning, and it didn't take long to really fall back into our stride. And like that's one thing I've found over this whole experience the last couple of years putting this album together, is that um you don't be together as a band from 18 years of age to the current day, and and just forget overnight what that chemistry is like. that kind of, suppose I maybe being a bit melodramatic, but that kind of the sense of brotherhood in the band, is I think will always be there, no matter what. And it is, I say brotherhood, brothers, you know, are there for each other for life, and they have their ups and downs, just like the Answer had, and but thankfully, yeah, we started getting some good material going from an early point, and that kind of really spurred us on, to continue working. And even through lockdown, whenever the travel restrictions, anytime the travel restrictions were lifted, it was like, right, Paul, fly to Belfast quickly, and then obviously, like we're talking now on Zoom, it was a very different way to write music, but it was quite effective, particularly myself and Mickey would regularly put Zoom calls together, and
cool.
kind of develop riffs into something more than riffs, like maybe work it up to a verse chorus type scenario, and then that, whenever we did have our kind of sporadic in the room jams and rehearsals, and writing sessions, we had lots of these kind of little kind of seeds of ideas that we knew had worth, and that if we kind of opened it to the floor, and all four of us got our teeth into it, that there could be something cool happening there. And I'd say it's kind of 50-50 across the album, really. Songs that were done in that way, and songs that were just done from scratch in the moment in the room, like we've always done. So it's kind of, I think it's definitely brought a different kind of the different process. Well, it's maybe not ideal because it was in the middle of COVID and all the stuff that came of that. It's still kind of, I suppose, it forced us to really shape the songs in a particular way that we kind of felt that they were cooking. And I think you can hear the actual songcraft in the record, but you can also hear the groove and the spirit of a band that are very much kind of very happy to be back together again. So there's a nice combination of energy on there.
It did, when like listening to the album, it did really sort of feel almost like a second debut, almost like a second reintroduction as to where you guys are standing now musically compared to you were standing with sort of Rise and everything else. It did feel like, I think it seems like it's got like the energy of a debut or a band getting back together, obviously, but it does seem to have that also, the sort of more musical knowledge and the more sort of depth of where you guys are now, like that, like Silas had, where you went on sort of different tangents and stuff as well. It seems to be sort of a mixture of those two as a listener.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. We did, like, I think at the center of it all, we wanted to write a good time rock and roll album, but like, you're totally right. Like, writing a good time rock and roll album where we're at as musicians and as songwriters and as artists now is gonna feel different to the good time album that we put out as our first album, and I think we'd be insane by now if it wasn't different,
Yeah.
But I think there's enough of the essence of the band that has always been there in there. But also, yeah, like, it's definitely not as kind of left field as Solace, but there's you can hear that I suppose we're just in a different place now as to where we were whenever we put Rise out, but like I say, at the center of it, I think the overriding kind of DNA of the album is designed to get people grooving and hopefully feeling empowered and feeling good about themselves,
Oh, definitely. Tracks on like California Rust, I thought that came through particularly, and Oh Cherry as well, and Get Back On. I thought that there's like you say, there's a great groove throughout the whole album. Was there any song in particular when you were writing that kind of set off that trajectory and sort of feel for like the whole album, or was it just all sort of come together?
There's a couple of songs that are on the album that we wrote on the very first session whenever we got back together. So I think the single we're releasing in February, "Living on the Line."
Oh yeah.
We that was one of the first songs that we put together, and that's it. We've kind of reshaped it a little bit over that time, but that was one of those early songs whenever we were thinking, oh yeah, we can still do this, and it feels pretty damn good, like, and and then Want You to Love Me, which we just dropped the lyric video for that song. Um, it it was one of the one. It's a good reflection of the spirit of the record, because it was one of the first ones we wrote together again. But it kind of felt like it was almost it's kind of a wild sounding song. You know, the structure isn't like, it's not obvious, and we even allow ourselves to speed up in the guitar solo section, you know, the bridge section, um you know, because that's what it felt like doing, as opposed to kind of a click track, or trying to maintain a steady pace, you know. And like, I suppose in days gone by, that wildness would have been fun in the room, but it normally wouldn't have made it to the record for one reason or another, you know. But we kind of really did embrace that side of who we are with this. And it's kind of credit to the producer as well, to Dan Weather, to really allow for us to go to those places, you know, and just have fun in there. And if it felt kind of weird and wild, it was kind of the right thing to do, and the right thing to get down on the record in this case, which just made for a very, very, like I say, fun, positive studio, you know.
That's great, man. I mean, I think for me, as a listener, I've always liked producers who capture the moment rather than trying to, you know, don't get me wrong, certain times of music, if you're doing something more, you know, progressive or technical, then maybe sticking to click tracks and having strict time sketches on certain types of music, of course it works. But I think for rock and roll, I think if you're slowing down or speeding up and it's just getting into that groove, I think that comes across more naturally than trying to force it into a click track blocks or force it onto a grid. So when a producer allows that to happen and captures that lightning in the bottle, I think that's sometimes a bit more magical.
Yeah, and he was doing. There were kind of moments I got throughout the recording session. Like we were recording the drums straight onto tape.
Oh, cool.
The studio, you know, and so like you would only have like 15 minutes per reel to get these takes done, you know. So like that also made for a good kind of a good pace to do it all in, because every 15 minutes you'd be going into the control room, or you know, going outside for a cigarette or something, and you know, you'd have a chance to go, okay, are we feeling this? You know, is the pace of the song right? Is the energy right in the room? Do we need to go in and do it again, or have we got it? And it just meant you never kind of got too sucked into the moment, you know. Like, it was all about the moment, but you never seemed to kind of lose perspective of what you were trying to achieve in there, you know, which was just good grooves and good spirit and good energy. And we knew that the songs worked, you know, but like, that's never enough. The kind of band that, you know, the kind, if you're playing rock music, or you know, anything with that has to feel like it's from the soul, from the heart, you know. You gotta try and ensure that the other stuff, that extra kind of 10%, is there as well, you know. So just being pure, not purely dictated, but very much kind of having the pace of the sessions ruled by those 15-minute tape reels actually really worked to our benefit as well.
That's cool. So do you yourself, other than the singles you released so far, Blood Brothers and Want You to Love Me, but other than those, are there any songs in the album that you're particularly looking forward to seeing people's reaction on?
The title track, Sundowners.
I love Sundowners. I think it's such a good opener.
Oh, good. How do you say that? Genuinely, there's a feeling of relief sweeping over me right now, because it's the longest track on the record.
It's a long track and it's a brooding track, but like I was saying, because it was, like, for me personally, I can only talk about how I heard it, but because it was sounding more like I was saying earlier, a second debut almost, and a reintroduction, because your vocal isn't starting until around the minute mark, and you've kind of got the introduction of Mickey and James and Paul, and then yourself coming in, and it's this great brooding track and a real groove bringing into it. Just sound like I think it's the perfect place to have it on the album. I really do. I think it's a great opener.
Yeah, well, our thinking behind that was, if the listener can get through this one, then we're high and dry, you know, because like most of the rest of the songs are quite immediate, you know, and impactful, and you know, like I say, no, I don't think any of the rest of the song, maybe the last song, comes close to the length of Sundowners, but
Mhm.
yeah, we kind of did. We thought from actually when we were tracking it in the moment, it was like, oh, this has got to open the album, you know, for kind of that very reason, because it it's not that it really asks difficult questions of the listener, but like I say, you gotta give yourself to the groove of the song, and you gotta actually listen to it, you know. So hopefully it's kind of piquing the right senses for the kind of experience that we want the full album to be, but also um for the I think the first time in our careers we genuinely recorded that song totally live.
Oh,
Like
cool.
the vocal that you hear in the album is me in the little vocal booth to the side of the control room as the boys are all in the main recording room tracking it all together, you know. Um, and that was one of those, you know, the 15-minute tape reel moments whenever, like, the first 15 minutes we actually didn't, the groove wasn't right. Whatever it was either too fast or not groovy enough. Like maybe James, our drummer, needed to relax a little more to get the kind of the flow that we were looking for. And Dan told us just to go outside and take a few minutes and just kind of I don't know if I can say on live on air what he asked us to do to get into the right mindset to go back in and lay down the track as it should be. But whatever happened, we came back in and then it just clicked, and it just felt like you wanted, you know, the song itself is maybe 5.5, 6 minutes long, and it felt like you could play it all day, you know. And yeah, it's just I think it does very genuinely captures where the band's heads are at for this particular album. So
That's great, man. And obviously, you got the tour coming up in March. I'll be at Blackpool, so I'll see you up there.
great.
Yeah, man. And you've got Ollie Brown and the Dead Collective in support, so that'll be great, man. And looking at the video, unfortunately, I didn't get down to Planet Rockstock this year, but I had some friends who were there and seeing the videos you guys put up. It looked like it was a hell of a show for you guys for Rockstock set.
Yeah, it was a big thing. Our first show in 6 years or whatever it was. And yeah, the gig itself was great. Felt really kind of re-energized, and the crowd were really lovely as well. You know, you felt like there were a lot of people there happy to see us back. You know, and um, but just to get the first one not out of the road, but you know, get it done. So it's no longer our first show in 6 years was a big deal, and I think it all worked out nice. It felt right that our only show of this year and our first show back after a while should be with the Rockstock guys, because they've given us so much support over the years, and yeah, again, just to know that we can we can do it, you know. And like the on stage dynamic clicked, like those kind of things. You find like the muscle memory is just so deeply embedded up there that yeah, like I always felt that would be the case, but to get up there and for it to feel so natural and not easy, but you know, so much fun. It kind of it sets us up nicely for the tour in March, where you know we will be able to play. I think we played 3 or 4 new ones at Rockstock, so obviously there's going to be more new material in there, and kind of the older stuff feels fresh again, and yeah, looking forward to seeing just seeing how the new material goes down live, because it you know, there's not a single song on that album that won't work as a 4 piece groove up there and having a good time, and it was kind of how the album was recorded in the first instance. So I think out of all our 7 albums, this one is definitely gonna transfer most naturally to the stage as a 4 piece rock and roll band, you know. So yeah, playing a load of dates around the UK, and then heading over to Europe after that with a very sensible Belfast gig kind of sandwich between
Oh, nice.
between two stints. So and there's a good, like a few of them have sold out already, and I think tickets are going really well. So it should be a fun couple of months.
Should be good. And you've got some festivals already lined up in the summer, I've seen. So
Got a lot of festivals lined up in the summer. I haven't told my wife about them all. I'm gonna have to, I don't know, get her drunk. Usual tactics. Like, I told you this 6 months ago that I've got that I'm going to be away every weekend over the summer. You know, need a glass of wine. You don't remember? So yeah, listen, we're playing some great festivals. We're doing Stone Dead. Should be a lot of fun.
I'm on the production team for Stone Dead, so I'll see you there.
Fantastic. And yeah, so it'd be good to see the Therapy Boys, and we're doing Steelhouse in Wales, which
great gig.
Games, and then we're heading over to do like Grass Pop and Wacken and a whole load of the big kind of rock and metal festivals across the continent. So yeah, good times ahead. It'll be interesting just to see where we're at the end of the summer, you know, when that first phase of the Sundowners release, I suppose, has done its thing, and yeah, we'll see if people are into it.
That's all, man. So once that first phase is done as such, have you got plans for the tail end of the year, or are you just seeing how that goes?
At this point in time, I'm not really looking beyond the summer festival season. Hopefully our management are, but yeah, it's all feeling pretty good, you know. Like we're very confident in the album itself, and our ability to get up on stage and get people moving, you know. And yeah, I suppose the rest of it is in the lap of the gods.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Cormac, thanks for chatting to us again, man. It's been great to talk to you. Normally, I would get you to choose another song off the album, but there's only been 2 singles so far, so we're going to play both of them. We're going to play Blood Brothers, and we're going to play One You Love Me and Sandwich the Interview in the middle, mate. But thanks again for your time, and I'll see you in Blackpool if I don't see you before, man.
Brilliant, man. I'll see you for a beer in Blackpool. All right.
Definitely, buddy. All right, man. If I don't speak to you before, have a good Christmas, mate.
Thanks, Lee. You too. Good talking to you.
You too. Take care, pal.
See you, buddy.